In this video, I'm going to go over our syllabus and some of the rubrics for the class and some lab information. So here's our syllabus. Again, you'll find this on the D2L shell. Here is the course information, the name of the class, our topic outline, some things like that. And then if you go down, okay, so here you can see our start date, our end date, last date to drop with a refund, and last date to withdraw. These are important dates. You should know these dates. Here's my information. Here's my email address. It's really, really important that you try to email me at this email address with your CCD email, not through D2L. I check this regularly and will get back to you within 24 hours during the week or 48 hours on weekends and school holidays. If you email me on D2L, my response time is going to be a lot slower because I don't check that quite as often. So again, use this email. Email me with your CCD email and include in the subject the class you're in and the section number. I teach a number of classes, so it can sometimes be hard to keep track of who's in what class. So it's really important that you let me know what class you're in when you email me too. Here's my office information. I do have office hours throughout the week, every day of the week. But since this is an online class, really, if you want to see me, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to meet with you. I can let you know what my office hours are, but I am on campus 5 days a week. Here's your required course information. Here's the textbook you need. We will not be using Mastering Chemistry, so you don't need to worry about that. You need some calculator with scientific notation. And here's the information on how to order your lab kit. Again, and there's more information on this on D2L. Here's just the institution outcomes. Okay. So here's some class-specific information. So attendance is mandatory, and it's kind of weird to think about what's attendance in an online class, but generally speaking, what that means is that you're participating in the weekly discussions on time, you're completing the homework and quizzes and other assignments on time, and you're logging into the shell regularly. You should be logging in at least 3 or 4 times a week. So this is what you need to do in order to actually be attending the class. Regular communication is the best way for both myself and you to ensure that important information is relayed and that problems are being addressed early. So if you have an issue, you're confused about something, get a hold of me immediately, post it online immediately. That way I can help you before it becomes a big problem. Anything becomes a big problem. Here's the grading scale. Here's your assignment weight. So homework is 15% of your grade. Labs are 15% of your grade. Curiosity journals are 10%. Quizzes are 15. Discussion posts are 15. And the midterm and final exam are both 15. We only have 2 exams in this class, the midterm and final. Both will be 100 points. And you'll have more information about those as they come near. But because this is an online class, I cut down the number of exams, but you have more of other types of assignments to do. And we do the exams on D2L. Quizzes and exams can only be made up under excused circumstances, and these include things such as hospitalization, family emergency, death in the family, so on and so forth. And again, if you have a problem, like something comes up like this, let me know immediately. The sooner you let me know about issues, whether it's things such as being sick or having a family emergency or you don't understand something or you can't find something, the sooner you let me know about those things, the easier it will be for me to help you. But if you wait till the last minute, it becomes much more difficult for me to help you. Late work, only accept in the case of excused absence. Assignments turned in late won't be accepted for credit. Again, there's 2 exams in this class, and I'll talk more about those as we get closer to that. And then you also have quizzes every week except for exam weeks, and quizzes are given on D2L, and at the end of the semester, your lowest quiz score is dropped. We have labs throughout the semester. There's more detailed information in the lab information module on D2L. Each lab requires you to complete an online evaluation, and it becomes clear when you log into the web lab site what I mean by that. or the lab website, excuse me. And but late lab assignments will be given a grade of 0, so they must be turned in on time. If you have any issues with that website or with your labs, again, let me know immediately and I can help you. But if you wait to let me know, it becomes much more difficult for me to help you. Homework is also done on D2L in the quizzes section, and it will be due at the date and time listed. As I showed in my other video, in each module, you'll see your homework assignment, quiz assignment, whatever, that'll all be in there, and it'll show you when they open and when they are due. We'll do discussions every single week. You're responsible for these discussions. The due dates for each discussion are listed on D2L, and there's also a rubric for these discussions. Late entries are given a score of 0. Journal writing, so you'll have 7 short journal writings throughout the semester. I'll talk a little bit more about those in this video. And these are turned in to our D2L job box. If they're late, you get a 0. There's no curve in this class. Again, this course is entirely online and requires you to log in regularly, so you must have reliable Wi-Fi and a working computer. Okay, let's talk about workflow. So every week, everything's the same, so it should be pretty easy for you to follow. And I have things due throughout the week instead of everything being due on Sunday to help you stay caught up. So modules will always open at 12 a.m. on Mondays. And then weekly quizzes and exams are always due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. For the discussion boards, your initial posts are due Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. and all responses are due Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Generally speaking, you'll have to respond to 2 students at least, but in each discussion, I give you detailed information about what I expect from you. Weekly homework is always due on Fridays at 11:59 p.m. Any writing assignments of the journals are due Thursday at 11:59 p.m. and lab reports are due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So every week, homework is due Friday. Every week, quizzes and exams are due Sunday. Every week, labs are due Sunday. Every week, curiosity journals are due Thursday. So it's very consistent throughout the weeks. And that should help you keep track. And also, I do post all this stuff on D2L, so it should be pretty clear when things are due. Again, emailing me at this email address from your CCD email is the best way to get a hold of me. Check this very, very regularly, and I will get back to you quickly. And then finally, at the bottom is our calendar and assignments, so you can just see what we're doing each week. Okay, so that's the syllabus. If you have any questions, let me know. The next thing I'm just going to go over really quick are the lab due dates. So here are the lab due dates, and these are all Sundays. So your first lab is due February 4th, and this really isn't a lab. It's just how to use the online software and just some safety information. So you do need to have ordered your lab kit before you can access this, but you don't need to have received your lab kit. So I give you a couple weeks in the semester because sometimes this process can be a little bit slow, as I learned from previous semesters of teaching this class. So I try to push off starting the labs for as late as possible, and then generally speaking, you have a lab due about every week through the semester. There's some breaks in there. If you have questions on this, let me know. Okay, here's discussion rubrics. I'm not going to go over it too much detail. You can read through this, but generally you're graded on your quality of your posts, timeliness, level of participation, following etiquette, and then demonstrating knowledge of class material. So you can see each of those are worth 2 points. So every discussion is worth 10 points for the week. And so you can kind of go through and see how I grade those. So I suggest you read over this before you participate in our first discussion. Okay, so the last thing I want to go over are curiosity journals. These are, I think, really cool, and students give good feedback on this assignment, that they enjoy it, that they find that it helps them relate what we're doing in our class to the real world. And I'm not the only person who uses these. Another professor, Dr. Dillman, actually started using these at CCD, and he got the idea from somebody else, and I've been using them in my classes, and again, I get good feedback on this, so it's kind of a fun assignment. So you'll have one due just every other week on even weeks, so week 2, week 4, week 6, so on and so forth. Again, these are due on Dropbox on D2L. So the purpose of this assignment is to give you an opportunity to investigate some of those I've always wondered why questions that every person has. So for each assignment, you'll have the opportunity to research one of those questions and summarize what you discover. So these must be tied or inspired by one of our chapters or topics in class. So they have to relate to chemistry. It can't be, I've always wondered why, insert some biology thing here. It's not a biology class. Again, it should relate to chemistry. I've had people write about tons of different stuff. I wonder why we use certain types of salt on the road in the winter and how that works. Things like that. So get really creative with these. Again, as long as they pertain to the class somehow or are related to the class somehow, they're fair game. Here's some more examples. People have written about chemical properties, chemical compounds, chemical concepts, or even people. So sometimes we'll talk about a historical figure in chemistry, and you might want to learn more about that person. So you could write about that person. It may come from your reading, homework, lab, lecture, whatever. So again, you'll do 7 of those. You'll submit them on Dropbox. They are checked through turnitin.com, so which is the plagiarism checker. Plagiarized journal entries receive a 0. So here's the format, and it's really important that you follow this format clearly, and if not, you lose points. So you need to use 11 or 12 point font, 1-inch margins, and single space paragraphs with a double space between paragraphs. So just very normal formatting. So you need to have 3 parts. The first paragraph should be stating your question. And again, this should be its own paragraph. So what's the question and why are you curious about this? Then the next paragraph or two should be, or next couple paragraphs should be summarizing what you learned in your research. So answer your question. Again, don't plagiarize. Think about how you'd explain what you learned to your classmates. Your explanation should be half a page to a page in length. You need to use proper spelling and grammar. And a well-written entry will automatically do a better job of communicating its point to the intended audience. Again, you're just writing this to your peers. Don't don't write it as you're writing to some expert. And then finally, you need to cite your sources. You need at least 3 sources for each entry. You need to choose credible sources. No Wikipedia, and then you need to use a standard citation method, MLA, APA, Chicago, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just be consistent. So not just giving the website, you need to do a proper citation. So grading, as long as you meet all those requirements, you have a paragraph for your question and why, a couple of paragraphs answering that, 3 citations, you'll get full credit. If you don't meet all the criteria, you will not receive credit. Submissions with fewer than 3 citations will be penalized 3 points per citation. And failure to cite any sources will result in a 0 for that entry. So that's kind of what's going on with the curiosity journals. You'll have your first due in the second week of class. But if you have any, please read over this document more carefully. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask and let me know.